we have a quorum. We want to approve the minutes of the previous meeting?
Do we have any minutes? I don't think so.
No.
I don't believe we had
No
any.
minutes.
Okay, since John's not here, the old business was city council workshop meeting presentation.
We pushed that to September because they had a meeting last night. I intended to go. It was about flooding Willow Road and the sloughs and stuff. And my back hurt so bad I couldn't sit through another 5 minutes, much less a 2-hour meeting, so I didn't go.
Was
I'll
that
have to
city
watch it on
council?
tape. It was a workshop meeting.
A workshop meeting?
It was all, there's about raising, they're gonna raise Willow Road, because it floods between the slough and the lake, and raise the roads around that somewhat, so it's only peripherally related to the creek, but it's, you know, the flooding for that local area, largely because the roads flood.
And
So-
did they say where that finance is coming from to do that?
I didn't go to the meeting, so I don't
Oh.
know, but they've been talking about it for some time. And it's, MWRD, I think, is in US Army Corps, and, you know, it's some shared funding, because I don't think it's just a local road.
So that's, I'm trying to think where that is.
It's Old Willow Road.
Old Willow Road. Yes.
Right as it ends at the church
Elmhurst.
between Elmhurst and St. Al's.
Yes.
Okay, the low spot right between the slough and the lake.
Uh-huh,
Well, when they get enough rain, the slough and the lake merge,
yes,
and the road
closest.
goes under. And then a number of the homes off to, on that cul-de-sac Owen Court there, the water, some of the roads get flooded from the lake. So,
Well, that's always, that area around the lake
Yeah.
is always flooded and locked people, you know.
it's a very shallow lake, and doesn't have much. So who are our guests tonight?
We're from 1001 Edward Road.
1001?
Yeah.
What street?
Edward Road.
Edward, okay,
Cul-de-sac.
so you're, and your name?
Manny.
Manny? Last name?
Last name L-A-Z.
Lindsay, okay. And you came, well, why don't you talk first? Explain what.
Cassandra.
And what brings you here tonight?
Just for information about the creek, we live right alongside of the creek, so,
Okay, so Jan and Rick and John, who is not here tonight, all live, in fact, while we're at it, here is a map. So you're at, right up here, right? So you're, okay.
that's us right here.
And Jan is for 905, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And Rick?
Three of them.
He's three, number three,
Okay.
and I'm not sure,
John-
John is not on the
John is
cul-de-sac
not on the
here. He's not on the creek, he's on the other side.
On the-
They're close, he's in the neighborhood.
So I saw what you're saying with 912 over here. They have a.
You see it all the way
long patch,
along,
Mhm.
all the way along, yeah.
So have you had issues with the flooding, or you're just
No.
generally interested in the creek?
No, we just, Jan came down a few times and told us about the meetings. Our biggest concern is just the,
The
our-
erosion?
Yeah, the erosion on the side. It's just, it's coming, over the years, you're starting to see it.
A lot more
Wash
roots of
away.
the trees.
Yeah, right.
And then with that, we have some big trees, so one in the back just fell. And luckily it fell straight, so it actually came off its base and fell next to it.
Oh,
So it's sitting in the creek next to
okay.
its trunk, and then now, this last storm from yesterday, it knocked down 2 huge branches and went into the creek.
Are you gonna need help clearing those?
I mean, sure.
Is the creek on your property or on the neighbors or both? Do you
I
know
think
where
both.
your property is?
Right in the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah,
You
the
know
property
where-
line goes into the
Down
creek.
through the middle?
Right in the
Yeah.
middle, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So you didn't by any chance contact MWRD or?
No, because we just
Public
got
Works?
the brochure yesterday.
Yeah,
This
we didn't know
happened.
who to call.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, so, okay, on old business.
You guys
as I-
stand at the podium so I
Oh.
can hear
Oh,
you.
I'm
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they got tape. So I don't, a little old business, I got the brochures and then all the stamped envelopes like the day after you left. And as I started thinking, counting them out, and I said, you know what, I could just do this while I'm watching TV, so I just sent them out. Rather
Okay.
than, by the time I counted them out and just delivered them to everybody, it was like, nice.
No, that's wonderful. I mean,
So
that was
I-
the
That's good.
next thing on the agenda was,
Yeah, so they all went out, what day is it? Friday, I think.
Yeah,
last-
they
last
got
week
theirs
sometime.
yesterday,
we
they
got
said.
it yesterday.
So,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't get any mail
I
today,
didn't send
so-
one to you.
Oh, okay.
We only had 100 stamped envelopes, so I didn't send one to any of you.
Okay, that's why it was a surprise when they said they got it.
Okay, yeah, because we ran a little short, so.
Okay, then I guess my question to you would be that you received the brochure and the letter, okay? And how was that as far as what we asked of you as a homeowner? In the,
Oh, it's fine. I mean,
any comments or things that we should have done or should have said or asked?
I mean, it's good. Well, thankfully Jan came down, I think probably a couple weeks before, kind of made me aware basically of everything that was contained in the brochure. But had I not known, it would have been, I mean, it's helpful, you know, because I probably wouldn't have paid too much attention to all the shrubbery and everything like that onto the
Right.
creek. So knowing now, you know, cause and effect, I made sure I went back, cleared all that out, and, you know, the only thing I'm concerned now is, you know, the only thing it didn't say anything about is really the erosion, like, you know, what do you do about the erosion?
Yeah, that's tough. Well,
It's a big issue in our area, totally.
I mean, they do it, they usually try and take the banks back, make them more shallow, but that cuts into your yard a lot.
Yeah, that would be pretty impossible where they live,
Yeah.
and on the other side as well.
Yeah,
They're too steep,
A
and
bit,
their
yeah.
property is like within no. How far would you say your garage is?
I would say I probably got, probably a little bit more than a driveway, probably a driveway and a half worth of space between the house and the creek.
So about 30 feet, maybe.
Probably, so I would say probably,
That's close.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why we're concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
too
there's
close.
times I can just go like this in the water, because it's just that high.
Okay,
Well, one way to at least not cure the erosion, but stop it from getting worse is open up, you know, get people upstream to cut back on how much they dump into the creek, which is one goal. You know, keep
did we suggest in our brochure, I can't remember.
Yeah, we did.
On the vegetation, the type of vegetation to prevent
I think you
bank
did.
erosion?
Yeah, there's something, but if you cut down some of the things, you know, the junk stuff, you have to plant something else or, you know,
Keep going,
you know, if there's no competition, nothing but weeds comes in.
yeah.
But, the Prospect Heights Natural Resources Commission is doing a lot of raising seedlings and stuff like that. They're a good resource, and we can, you know, navigate with them if you want to do something on your property. Happy to help.
Yeah,
Public Works will help you take out that, you know, the tree that fell in the creek.
yeah.
Did you talk to Mark Roscoe at all?
We've talked to nobody.
Okay. We can call him for you, or if you'd like to call him, because,
Sure, we do.
do we have his number handy?
Yeah, it's right in the
Yeah.
brochure.
Yeah,
Oh, it's in the
because,
brochure.
because
Yeah.
if, you know, you want to be there or something, if they come, or you maybe want to make arrangements yourself, just to, but if you can send him a picture of what you're dealing with, and, if it's little stuff, he'll expect you to take care of it, but if it's something bigger that's blocking the flow of the creek, they'll help you with that. And if it's more than they can handle, then MWRD has a stream maintenance program, and they do help keep, you know, if it's a major tree or something
Yeah,
that,
it's a tree,
yeah,
Yeah.
that you can't deal
There'll be
with.
some more.
yeah.
I have a small chainsaw,
Yeah.
in the equipment?
through
No,
plenty.
I've gone, yeah, I do, if I can pick it up, I'll chainsaw it down
Okay.
and take it out, but this is a tree.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, those are the two, first well, if you need help, we can, and Public Works, if they can help you. If it's too big, then they'll refer you to the small streams,
Okay.
at WRD crew, which we might have a number. I
Yeah,
think
the
we
number-
put a number down there for them too.
I
I
think
would
so.
suggest,
Yeah.
Manny,
I'm sorry?
if it's okay, I would suggest that you call first Joe Wade,
Joe,
not Joe,
not Mark Roscoe?
Mark Roscoe. Call, he's with the Public Works. Call him first and have him come down and take a look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, because
And
you're right
then-
down the street.
Yeah, and then he can make the decision as to whether Public Works will be, because I know the size of those trees.
Yeah,
And you're
Yeah.
pretty strong, and you could do it, but
Yeah,
you've already done enough to clear that bank. And
Yeah.
I would suggest that maybe call him.
Okay.
And then have him come down, and then he can recommend whether the city can do it, or whether he can be in contact with WMRD to come do it.
okay. And then in the meantime, as far as erosion, just the vegetation that you suggested in the brochure, just go down along the
Yeah.
bank and,
do you have, I wanna,
Well, I know.
it's hard to.
It's very hard because his bank is straight down,
Mhm.
as opposed, like it is at the back of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And that erosion through the years, it's like this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
eroding,
it's like-
undercutting the roots. So
It's-
it's tough to get
Are they
anything
junk
there.
trees? Box elders and buckthorn and stuff?
you know what, I couldn't tell you what kind of trees.
It's the one that
Um,
has the cotton, we get
Yeah,
so
it's-
many.
Cottonwood
of-
trees?
Yeah, the
They
big,
have so
Yeah.
many of those.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're
okay.
cottonwood trees, and they're old and they're big.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
I
yeah, those are
think the
gigantic.
best thing, when you contact Mark, and when he comes there, to discuss with him, once he views what you have,
Okay,
as to your situation and what he may suggest as far as what can be done or what needs to be done.
okay.
Yeah, the water right now in that whole area down there is, because the flow is so high so often, has undercut a lot.
Right.
So the roots right now are hanging into the water in lots of
Yeah,
cases, and
it's
the
a-
erosion
it's
is
a
underneath.
Case all.
And that's,
all
yeah, and
along
that's
the
what's
creek.
causing the trees to come down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that may be something that MWRD would be concerned about, because it's something that the erosion is creating the problem, and that's
Yeah.
more than a homeowner or anybody else can manage. If we're
We had-
undercutting
we-
the,
We had that meeting though with them, they will only get involved if it's threatening a structure.
Well, there
Well,
might
Like
be
immediate-
an
like
issue
immediately
there.
threatening.
Right next to the
Yeah.
house, yeah.
Yeah, so they might, if it's,
Because I mean, if it comes down, it's either coming down across
Going on the
their
other
house
house
or
or
our
our
house.
there's really no room.
It floods
Yeah.
over there on the other side. Remember that rain, that
Yeah.
big rain we had, and I
Yeah.
walked down there,
Mhm.
flooded badly.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say would be, they are the last house property before the Park District.
Right,
And so their house would be the last one before Mount Prospect.
so have you seen what they've done along the creek?
Yes,
Yeah,
and we want
and-
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where, that
We
would be
want
our
that.
goal. That's-
Yeah, and their banks are not too different than ours.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
pretty steep. And I see they look like broken pieces of concrete, fenced in.
Yeah,
So-
they've got a what do they call those, gabbards, something like
Something like
gabbard,
that.
something, GAB something or other. Anyway,
But it looks expensive.
Yeah.
it was, they got a grant and stuff, but, those grants are not available for private property, but,
Okay, yeah.
goal down the line would be to work on the stretch of the creek that's runs through all the Park District, like along Schoenbeck and stuff, and there's a couple that, where it's public property and you can get grants, and hopefully that will make things better all the way down the line.
And it is the easement too, all the way
Yeah.
down from my place, Camp McDonald, all the way down too, so. But it's not a solution at the moment. So just, if another one goes in, follow the same process and just keep our committee and keep the city notified.
Sure.
There's a lot of room along the industrial stretch, right, north of Camp McDonald? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
none of those buildings.
Wheeling.
Yeah, I know, but none of those buildings come up to the creek very closely, do they?
No, they
I
don't.
don't,
It might be something to look at down and see if we can work with Wheeling and,
Yes, that
Change.
whole
area
stretch
has to be
Yeah.
be, right.
like lower, you know, you have plenty of room to create a shallow edge on the Wheeling side, which could help stop the erosion on the other side. If the water can spread out, create a little more floodplain over on that side.
That was the intent when they did it years ago,
Correct.
wasn't it?
Yes.
But that shelf has gotten so big and so
Yeah.
tall because of the direction of the flow is coming the opposite way instead of using that area.
Well, for real erosion, we need an engineer to, look
Well, yeah,
at the whole.
that whole area was on-stream detention essentially. What you had was the original creek, when you go look north of, upstream of Camp McDonald Road,
okay,
you had the regular stream, and then you had a bank, and then it went up. So they had this shallow level. So they dug out what was, from you looking at on the east side of the thing, all that dirt, they took that out, that was detention, and left a shelf. Well, eventually, with the constant flooding, that whole shelf just got washed away. So now you end up with an area where water comes down, slows out, spreads out, sediment comes out
yeah,
and picks it up, and we create all kinds of problems underneath the structure and downstream to where you folks are.
okay.
So that whole area needs to be looked at, and it's possible if we contact the homeowners, get Roscoe down there to take a look at it, and we look at that between Prospect Heights, that would be Mount Prospect, and possibly
North.
come up, yeah.
And up north, and
Come
north
up with a
too.
combined project with everybody.
Has anybody walked the stretch of creek from Camp McDonald
Many
to-
times.
to your house,
Many times.
through the creek?
And this is where if
Are there other,
people
a
would
lot
take
of
pictures,
obstructions?
and what we're asking by sending these brochures is for people to see what you have in your backyard and let us know.
Yeah,
You know, let Public Works know, so we can come out and take a look and possibly put together a plan that would be acceptable and could be funded either by federal or state dollars.
that would be helpful.
Yes, it would. I mean, if you look at where I'm at, I own both sides of the creek.
Okay,
And that was because they needed a half an acre for well and septic. So they just they left the creek off. It was a ditch. But it was actually a creek,
So
which now all of the rules apply.
are there a lot of obstructions in the neighborhood along, it's a small section of the creek? Have you identified any others besides?
Well, yeah, there are.
Could we just set a week with Mark Roscoe to do the whole section of whatever
It does need to be walked again.
before fall starts?
The water is down, when the water is down, it
Down,
would have
yeah,
been
it's
good.
up a little.
It would have been good in July,
Mhm,
first week of
mhm.
August, because there was no
Mhm.
water hardly at
Yeah.
all in
Well,
the creek.
yeah,
No,
You may
it
get it in
wasn't.
dry
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, and I don't know by looking at that, is the creek mainly on the industrial side or,
Up here?
yeah,
I think so.
Well, it's probably equal, but the homes are closer, like up in Patricia Lane that
Yeah.
flooded. All of those homes, their property is less than what, I think it's less than what the Wheeling people have, because they have a lot of storage places and driveways that they all go back around behind their buildings. So
Yeah.
if you take a look at Foster Avenue,
right.
okay, then there's quite a little bit of land from the creek to those buildings.
Yeah.
But
there's-
not as much land, I don't think, as much land on the other side, which
Yeah.
is the ones on Patricia Lane and all the way up.
Mhm.
But at least those places north of Camp McDonald have more of a slope, so that the vegetation-wise would be helpful there on the Prospect Heights side. And even on the Wheeling side, it slopes down. Where the erosion starts, really starts at the bridge, and then continues all the way down to Mount Prospect. There isn't as much erosion because of the nature of the actual land slopes down like this into the creek, unless it's just north of the bridge, and then it starts that hitting an erosion that continues all the way down, because the stream is narrow. The stream has gone narrower all the way down.
Mhm.
Okay, so the mailing has basically been out the entire length of the creek?
Yep, until I ran out of them. I think, the homes that actually seem to have creek on their property, some of the ones
Okay.
that are, like Ann Court, we didn't get to, but if you have more brochures, do people have more?
I
I
have
can
more.
print
I
more
have-
letters.
I have more
I
at
kind of
home.
ran out of.
I got lots at home.
Okay, and I can hand deliver a few to some of the ones that are not specifically creek
Here,
owners.
I got
Thank you.
a few.
Okay. Well, do you want to have an email address? We can,
Sure. And would you like to send pics of
yeah,
the area?
yeah.
Yeah.
If you want, maybe we should see see if we have a very small, a workday just in this area in September sometime to just clean up whatever we can. And
Well, let's see, if you
I'll
contact
If
Roscoe
homeowners
and
are
see.
interested.
Take care of everything, as young, well, I've chopped everything down, young trees, small vines, whatever, I took all it out. The only thing that's left is just that big tree that's off its base.
Okay.
And the two huge branches that just fell into the water, but I may be able to take care of the branches.
are there other homeowners along that stretch that maybe, older, that might not be able to take care of their property, that would need help, getting rid of some of the brush and stuff, or?
I believe so, and our neighbors across the creek, I'm not sure how old she is, but I would imagine
Yeah,
that she's
there's a
not
lot
gonna
of
be able
brush
to.
over there
Yeah.
too.
What's her,
really thick.
oh, wait, what's her name?
I think it's Renata.
Yes, that's who it is. That's who it is. And her property actually is a little higher
Yeah.
than yours,
Yeah.
and it's still probably eroding. You could probably see it better than she
Yeah, you
can.
see where the water.
But through the years, she has put nice trees up there, evergreens and so on, that has been very helpful. But I don't know, I didn't look carefully from your place to see if there was brush down on the side of her property.
There is some, it's not horrible, but there is some.
Yeah.
If you go down past the house into the backyard, closer to the forest preserve, there is
There's
some
more
brush, but
there.
it's not horrible.
But going north, the fellow that has that length of that property, his really needs a lot of help.
912? There's the creek on 912, the long stretch?
The
or is
long
it on the
stretch, his
other
whole
side?
yard parallels the creek.
Right, but is the creek, who owns it?
He
Does
does.
he own it, or do the other four homeowners?
No, he owns it.
Because on this, it looks like it's on the other,
It's on the other side, it's on Edward. It's the last house on Edward.
or does everybody own it? It
What do
goes
you
down
mean?
the middle?
Well, ours does.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
I
property
think-
line?
I do think everything south of Camp McDonald is to the center of the creek home ownership.
Okay.
It was in the past, so I don't, for years it was. Whether it's still, I would assume it is. My neighbor across the creek that's trying to sell her house, and you know that mess. Hers for sure is to the center of the creek.
Okay.
I know ours for sure is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you go to the FEMA maps and enlarge it, and you see the lots, and you'll see the creek on there, and it'll pretty much tell you where it's at as far as the property line.
Yeah, that's where we got it from. From FEMA, yeah.
Yeah, the layout.
Yeah, because we were curious one day and we saw like exactly where do we
be stopped.
Right.
That-
You know, especially if you don't have your plat of survey for your property,
Yeah.
that's the best place to go to see actually what's there. Okay, let's continue on with the city workshop meeting. We're
That's,
gonna reschedule that?
no, that was yesterday's meeting that, about the flooding.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
Was John there and gave the presentation?
No, John was, they asked him to wait till, next month because they had this meeting scheduled about Willow Road.
Okay, so rescheduled for September then.
Yes,
Okay, and then the mailing, you said you did pretty much,
everything's out.
everything was out? Okay, hopefully we'll have more contact from people that,
Okay.
once they got their mailing.
Okay.
Do you want to,
I'll check
Give us
with a
an
few of my
email?
neighbors, see if they got
I'll
the
email.
brochure.
Yeah.
I guess the best one would be Manuel, Manvel, Lazu @gmail.
okay, thank you.
Okay, new business. We have a report on the council meeting.
No, because I didn't go. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll have to. I spent all
right,
day staying.
What about item Illinois Waterway Cleanup Week?
I got a, something on that from Sierra Club, and so I was trying to look into it. It seems like it was school groups, and she said, well, there's this guy in District 214 who's doing something, Mario somebody or other, but the emails back and forth, it's completely confusing as to what exactly they're doing or not doing, or,
But it's the Sierra.
no, it's, he's with Illinois Global Scholars or something, and he's got a soccer club, and think they're gonna do a little cleanup around the golf course, he said at the north end, but the golf course isn't at the north end of Arlington Heights, it's right in the middle. So, he said, we're gonna do some cleanup around the northern end of, but, I think it'll be near the golf course, and so, I don't know.
Which golf course?
Well, the only one that the creek comes near is,
Old Orchard.
Old Or, no.
Or Rob Roy?
Oh, that's not Arlington Heights, though.
No, it isn't.
He said Arlington Heights would be Arlington Lakes.
Way up there, yeah. Not-
So, and it wasn't clear that, I mean, this is supposed to be Illinois Waterway, but it sounded like they might be just picking up trash along the road or, I don't know. It was,
So they did
I
not
have
specify
not.
what stream they were
no,
gonna
he
be?
said they didn't know yet. They didn't, hadn't been assigned yet, and I don't even know who's supposed to be assigning them, because it was all very confused. I thought it was school groups, and he says, oh, his soccer club might come out. So, I don't know.
Okay, well,
And it's kind of, it's September's, what?
September 9th to the
Yes,
15th.
so it's coming up fast, and it was, like I said, very confused. So now that I know that there is an Illinois Waterway Cleanup Week, maybe next year, unless you want to do something in just this one small neighborhood with just the neighbors, as in conjunction with Illinois Waterway Week.
A little quick.
Okay, but
Yeah.
we don't have any contacts with that group, right?
Not, but I can, they say, send us information if you're planning a waterway cleanup, but it would be more just among ourselves, just decide to honor the week.
Or they might want to help us anyway if they have a crew, not
Well, he
necessarily
was-
within their week.
Well, that's what I thought, that
Yeah.
he was, but he's saying, we haven't been assigned yet, I don't know who's assigning them, or who's running the show, or, I don't, it's very
Could be
confusing.
the Illinois Waterway,
No,
No?
it's something with a school
I see,
organization,
a
or,
not-for-profit,
and, I don't know.
community kind of thing.
So I was trying to get to the bottom of it and have not so far.
Okay,
Okay,
It just came up in the last week.
all right.
So-
Down tree report, what are we looking at? Is that,
There were, like, the ones from, that Mark addressed the other day.
oh, okay.
I mean, I guess the question is, what are we doing if we get reports about down trees? Are we taking charge of that? Are we doing anything? Are we just providing information, directing people to go to
Well,
Mark?
I think our brochure, now that it's been mailed, hopefully will address that situation. If you have a down tree, you know, contact Public Works, you know, and they in turn should let us know. And of course, people can go to our website and basically send us messages and suggestions that we would look at.
Some of the, how much expectation is there that we will come and address your problem?
Well, I don't, my personal opinion is that, and of course, I'm reading this, report any large blockages to the Prospect Heights Public Works Department. It does not spell out down trees across the creek that could be a blockage. I know from past experience, WNRD will take care of that. But since we now have this commission, it makes sense that we should know. And it should also make sense that our public works people should know. That way, any advice that can be given, they would know the area well enough to be able to give the advice. Like, should you do it? Will Public Works do it? Or will WM just wait in WMRD because it's across the creek? That, to me, is their responsibility from past experience.
Right. And usually from past experience, when you have someone from the city working with MWRD, things seem to happen a lot quicker.
Then if you
You know,
go
because then
direct.
there becomes a working relationship.
Yeah.
If I call and say, okay, who are you? Well, I'm a homeowner. Well, what do you know? Even though we may know everything that's going on, doesn't matter. So it's nice to build those relationships. And again, with our commission, through Public Works, through MRD, through the homeowner, hopefully we can solve a lot of these problems.
And of course, for you, you know, I'm in that area, and I'm on the commission, and so is Rick.
Right.
So with the,
But if I'm not mistaken, anybody from the community can email our email address, and it's
Yes.
observed, I don't know if we all see it right away, but it is observed by somebody at the
Yeah.
city, and they direct and send it to where it's supposed to go.
They
Yes.
have been doing that, so, yeah. Yeah, you send picture of what the issue,
And since
tree
we're
and,
a relatively new commission, it's gonna take some time for the citizen involvement and feeling at ease about, you know, writing emails and making comments as it pertains to the creek.
Hopefully, you know, we send pics, neighbors see that things are getting done on our side, then they'll, you know, step
Right.
up and say, okay, well,
that's right, they'll all
let's go ahead
notice.
and, yeah.
They see Public Works truck there, they'll all notice.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have any more new business? Misty? Okay, next meeting date is when?
I don't have a calendar on me.
Calendar.
last Tuesday of September.
When? 25th. Thank you. All right, if there's no other items to be discussed, call for adjournment. I hear a second. I heard second. Everybody in favor. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Your new email